So happy New Year for 2021. The world is certainly a different place to what we knew in January 2020. At that time, I'm sure none of us could have predicted what was to occur in the following months. I know this has presented many challenges and difficulties for some of us, so I sincerely hope you are taking good care of yourselves and your families in these uncertain times. So due to the border restrictions within Australia and the requirement to undergo 14 days of hotel quarantine when entering Western Australia, I spent more than 8 weeks away from home last year during September and October. Now that was the time I made this series of videos on the satellites being eclipsed by the Earth's shadow during the time of the equinox. But it was the longest single period of time I have been away from my family, and as a result, upon returning home, I really wanted to make it up to them by just devoting as much of my time as possible to family activities. And as a result, I haven't made a lot of videos recently. My daughter is really enjoying learning how to play chess. She is 3 years old and she knows how to set up the board and how each of the pieces move. Every morning, the first thing she says to me is, "Good morning, Daddy. I want to play chess." What are you doing?
Playing chess with Daddy.
Playing chess with Daddy. Do you know how to set up all the pieces? Do you want to explain to Grandfather what all the pieces are?
Pawns and the knight and the rook and the bishop and the queen and the king.
Okay, and how do the knights move?
They one straight, one diagonal.
One straight and one diagonal. And how do the pawns move?
1, 2.
One or two straight. And when can the pawns take somebody?
On the diagonal.
Only diagonal. Very good.
On the diagonal.
Is this your favourite game now? Okay, Daddy's going first. And then Emma can take
1,
a
2,
turn.
3. Now what can I do?
You have to think. So what do you think you can do now?
Put this pawn here and I can take diagonal.
Okay, but I can take you first. I can take you first. Now, maybe you can take me. Oh, that's good. Very good.
Opa.
Hoppa, fix it up. Do you like the new chessboard? The wooden pieces are so nice. So we have a lot of fun together, but playing chess with a 3-year-old made me realise this is exactly what it's like debating the shape of the Earth with a flat earther. Having a conversation with flat earthers these days feels like starting a game of chess with the pieces in this position. Black representing the flat earther. He is already backed into a corner by the equatorial mount, the equinox sun angles, and the satellite eclipses on the equinox. Meanwhile, the globe king is free to wander around the board without any threat at all, and by his side he has flight plans which can instantly checkmate the flat earther at any time. The play goes something like this. So as you can see, the situation is completely unwinnable for the flat earther. Presented with equinox sun angles, the equatorial mount, satellite eclipses around the time of the equinox, and real aircraft flight planning, they have absolutely nowhere to go and are completely checkmated. In every discussion, when I bring up each of these topics, they have no answer. They're incapable of providing a practical demonstration of how the equatorial mount works on a flat Earth. They're incapable of showing real aircraft flight plans based on a flat Earth. And what usually happens is they try to deflect, change the subject, or simply run away. In fact, at this point, I'm blocked on many of the flat Earth channels simply for asking questions about the equinox, about equatorial mounts, and about flight planning. The flat Earth channels are locked up like fortresses. Any dissenting comments are quickly deleted and the person blocked. And I know many of you have experienced this with a number of flat Earth channels. There is a well-known saying that the truth fears no investigation. So my question to flat earthers who hide behind the block and delete buttons: what are you afraid of? Why are you afraid to allow people to ask questions on your channel? Why do comments containing inconvenient questions get deleted? Why do people who ask too many questions get blocked? If the truth fears no questions, then what are you afraid of? If you're one of these flat Earth channels hiding behind the block and the delete buttons, you have already lost. So recently I was made aware of a comment by a flat earther who said that when he looks through his own telescope, he doesn't see anything that resembles what NASA shows him. I'm not sure what sort of telescope he owns or if he knows how to use it properly. But here is an image of the Orion Nebula taken by NASA. This is an image of the Orion Nebula taken by my own telescope just a few weeks ago. They look pretty close to me. In the final part of this video, we're going to answer another question that flat earthers ask regularly. It has been addressed on my channel several times already, and also by other people, but this is yet another clip demonstrating the point. This overexposed object at the center of the frame is the planet Mars. You can see the stars and also a couple of satellites represented by these straight lines, one to the left and one to the right. In order for the stars and the satellites to be visible, Mars has to be severely overexposed. As I change the exposure on the camera and reduce it to the point where Mars is no longer overexposed, you will see that the stars and the satellites are no longer visible. And also the apparent size of Mars changes dramatically. In fact, about there, we have Mars correctly exposed. No chance at all that we will see stars at this exposure level, and absolutely no chance of seeing those geostationary satellites. In order for the stars and the satellites to become visible, the main object in the frame, Mars, has to be severely overexposed. And I'll play that clip in real time. It is a time lapse, and because the exposure value was changing, you'll see the length of the trails for the satellites is changing too. Here we can see a number of satellites coming in, and then as the exposure value was reduced, the length of those satellite trails reduces too. And another significant point to note is the apparent size of Mars when it is overexposed like this. It appears far larger than the true angular size. And when flat earthers look at these satellite images and wonder how we can see them from such a distance, you have to remember that this small streak of light is being magnified by about the same percentage as the size of Mars. So the true size of the satellite is much smaller than a pixel in this image, but it is due to the high exposure level and the high level of gain in the astrophotography camera that we can see the light from the satellites at all. At this level, the stars Mars, and the satellites are actually all overexposed. At the correct exposure value, we could only see Mars. We would have absolutely no chance of seeing the stars or the satellites.